The mysterious disappearance of Sudiksha Konanki. March 6, 2025. Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. A place known for luxury resorts, crystal clear water, and endless beaches filled with tourists escaping reality for a few days of freedom. During spring break season, the city barely slept. Music poured from beachfront bars until sunrise. Crowds moved between parties and hotel lounges late into the night. Vacationers walked the shoreline beneath glowing resort lights while waves crashed softly against the sand. To most people there, Punta Cana felt safe, controlled, almost isolated from the dangers of the outside world. But sometimes, the most disturbing mysteries happen in places where nobody expects them. And on that night, one young woman vanished without a trace. Her name was Sudiksha Konanki, 20 years old, a university student with a bright future ahead of her. Friends described her as intelligent, responsible, and thoughtful. She had traveled to the Dominican Republic with a group of friends for what was supposed to be a simple spring break vacation, a temporary escape from exams, stress, and everyday life. Photos from the trip showed smiling faces, tropical drinks, beach sunsets, and the kind of carefree atmosphere that fills social media feeds every spring. Nothing appeared unusual. Nothing appeared dangerous. But investigators would later discover that somewhere between the late-night parties, the crowded resort walkways, and the darkness near the ocean, something happened. Something nobody has been able to fully explain. According to reports, Sudiksha and her friends spent the evening inside the resort area enjoying nightlife activities alongside hundreds of other tourists. Security cameras captured parts of the group moving through the property during the early morning hours. The footage would later become one of the most heavily analyzed pieces of evidence in the entire investigation. At approximately 4 a.m., Sudiksha was reportedly seen walking toward the beach area with several people. At first, nothing seemed concerning. Groups of tourists moved in and out of frame constantly. Some headed back to their rooms. Others continued toward the beach to watch the sunrise after a night of partying. But over time, investigators began focusing on one specific detail. As the group moved closer to the shoreline, people gradually separated. Some returned to the resort. Others walked in different directions. Eventually, according to witness statements, Sudiksha was allegedly left alone with one man near the water. And that moment would become the center of the mystery. Because after that point, no verified public footage ever showed her again. When the sun began rising over Punta Cana that morning, beach workers and tourists started filling the shoreline once more. But there was no sign of Sudiksha. Hours later, concern inside the resort began growing rapidly. Friends reportedly realized they could no longer contact her. Her phone was unanswered. Messages went unread. And eventually, panic set in. At first, some may have believed she simply returned to another room or stayed out later than expected. But as more time passed, the situation became impossible to ignore. Sudiksha Konanki had disappeared. Resort officials contacted authorities, triggering what would soon become a massive international missing person investigation. Dominican police launched search operations across the beach and surrounding areas. Rescue teams scanned the ocean. Helicopters searched from above. Drones moved over the coastline. Divers entered the water looking for any trace of evidence. Investigators interviewed hotel employees, tourists, bartenders, security staff, and anyone who may have seen Sudiksha during her final known hours. But almost immediately, the case became far more complicated than a simple missing person report. One man, believed to be the last known person seen with Sudiksha, became a major focus of the investigation. According to reports, he told authorities the two had entered the ocean together during the early morning hours. He claimed rough waves separated them in the water. According to his account, he managed to make it back to shore alone. and he believed Sudiksha may have been swept away by the ocean. On the surface, the explanation sounded possible. The waters near Punta Cana can become dangerous at night, especially under the influence of alcohol, exhaustion, or low visibility. Ocean currents are unpredictable. Accidental drownings do happen. But investigators still face troubling questions. Questions that immediately fueled suspicion online. If Sudiksha drowned, where was the evidence? Why had no body been recovered despite extensive search operations? Why were there inconsistencies reported in parts of the timeline? And why did certain witness accounts appear unclear or incomplete? As media coverage exploded,